Kelin, how we doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. So I'm letting you bring it today. So
Oh, no.
Come to the table. We'll discuss it.
Oh,
Unpopular opinions. We always have a lot of them.
A whole bunch of stuff. Just a whole bunch of stuff that is going to be unpopular and tough conversations, I think. But, you know, 'tis the season. It's an election year. And I feel like that is just everywhere. Everywhere you look, everywhere you go, everyone you talk to, you got to hear about politics. And so a couple of different approaches I think I want to take with this is, one, to talk about a couple vague issues, and two, to talk about how you mentally handle and keep your sanity in an election year.
Right. I'm good. I will counsel you and give you some wisdom and advice.
Perfect. So one sort of general topic that kind of keeps coming to my mind is that of censorship and misinformation.
Okay.
And, you know, a lot of people have been talking about different social media platforms, censoring things. I don't know. Where do you stand, I guess, on this idea of should anyone, like a social media platform, hold the right to censor information or block information or, you know, censor certain words and things like that? You always hear about people going to like Facebook jail because of something they said or what they posted. And how do you feel about that in general?
So rule number one is that I would trust the trustworthy to be objective and not biased. Mm-hmm. Rule number two is nobody is trustworthy and everyone is biased.
Yes.
So the deal is I don't trust anyone well enough to hold the lever of censorship or restricting anybody's free speech. I would rather have super messy misinformation where people can dig through the information for themselves and come to their own conclusions. You withhold it. Now you have a power that no one deserves to have. So
do you think that it should, maybe even in a case, let's say that you see things being posted or shared and it's 100% blatant, fabricated, made up lie?
According to who, though? Who decided that it's 100% fabricated?
Let's say like if, I don't know, maybe you were in politics or you were running for something and somebody said something, Joe Danier
kicks puppies
and eats children, yes. You know, and you're like, well, would you want that information removed? Or were you like, well?
No, then I would counter it and say, no, I don't. Right?
Yeah.
And then the exchange of those two pieces of information lets somebody decide that, or somebody says that the hot dogs taste bad, and this person said, no, I went there and the hot dogs taste really good. Now you get to sit back and you get to decide who's telling the truth. Versus, and the thing is, if we could get people to be honest and not levy something at you that you didn't like, or someone that you didn't like, mm-hmm. and then it gets removed only because now you have the power to control information. No way.
Yeah.
Don't deserve it.
And another thing, too, that I think would be so hard in even doing so is you have things that come into play like context. You know, they could say, oh, well, somebody said this. Yeah, they very well could have. Those words left their mouth. But the context in which they said it is a whole other ball game. Yeah. And I see that so much.
Manipulate it just to put someone in a bad light. And as long as they do that, no one can be trusted. It has to be free flow of information, and then individuals have to be smarter to be able to filter through those things and make sense to themselves.
Oh, yeah. I think that is probably what gets my blood pressure up the most often when it comes to things like an election year and all these people saying things about different candidates. And that's why I'm like, look, unless you sat down and you watched an interview, uncut, unedited, and you saw the exact context in which they said this, really?
I got a question for you.
Okay.
Should there be huge penalties for lying?
Huge penalties for lying?
Jailing, execution, you lie, you die. That's a motto, big motto.
I don't. That seems a bit extreme.
Okay, so as long as we don't hold truth in high regard, then you can't have somebody penalizing someone for telling a lie when you basically let it happen rampantly. So when you go when you go to the hamburger place and they say the best hamburger in the United States, And what if somebody has another opinion of that?
Yeah.
Is that a lie? So long we're going to be so distanced from holding people accountable for telling the truth. So if you want to, okay, let's just say level 1 is going to be politicians, right?
Mm-hmm.
We expect politicians not to lie. So if someone's found a lie, then let's execute the politicians. And then so other politicians will just accuse someone of lying and they'll all be dead. And so we get to solve one problem by just taking it to its extreme and just murdering all liars. But we always clutch our pearls and get so aghast when someone tells a lie or even a little gray area lie.
Half-truth.
Right?
Yeah.
But we live in that zone every day. People who just complained about someone else's lying told a lie probably 20 minutes earlier. So we don't care about truth and lying. We don't.
It's
we care about
maddening.
our truths and the other guy's truths. The other guy lies and he should be put to death.
Yeah.
We lie and it's like, well, you know.
So what do you do in a world where every single platform of information has the ability to either censor or take out of context or push an agenda? You know, like, where do you find actual truth or correct information?
It's about the alternative points of view. If you don't pit two truths and untruths against one another, you won't be able to. I'm a data person. So if I don't have access to the data, so I'll go to a news organization and they'll say, this person said this, right? Every once in a while, I'll sample it and I'll find it and find the actual transcript from what they said. And if you said if you manipulated the context on that, you're dead to me. So you're not somebody who's going to tell me the transcript, right?
Yeah.
So these people editorialize the flow of information and because they want you to feel a certain way about something. So they're just dead to me. They're just not a credible source anymore. And I'm not saying, I think every news outlet has been, in that boat.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's a business. They're not in the business of information. They're in the business of making money.
And so many people, I wish, knew that too, is when you watch a news program on TV, that is still very much a TV show. They thrive on ratings. They need to make money. So it's like, first of all, bad news sells. So it's not going to be positive all the time. And second of all, they need to make money. They need to please the people that give them the money. And it's a show that they control.
Yeah, and I don't really care if people believe wrong information. I know some people think that their injustice meters go up and they really want to correct it so that you know the right information. I don't care if you know it or want to know it or have bad intel or want to vote or don't vote. I don't care. Those are all on you. I just can control what enters my ears and brain, and that's it.
And some of it's so ridiculous that now it's getting into the comical where if they need something, if you need something to make an opponent look bad, what can we concoct? What can we say about them? What can we push out there? And some of it is so funny and so ridiculous.
Well, that's what we actually need to happen. We need to let it go to the level of absurd so it just crumbles. If we keep it in sort of that, halfway believable, but we give them the length to go wherever they want to go and they will hang themselves. Like, can you imagine an 80-year-old sitting in front of the TV and they don't believe anything that's coming out of the newscaster's mouth? That would be amazing.
Yeah.
Right? Just like if we're watching wrestling. How many of the people watch wrestling and are like, this is really real? I believe it. There's a point where you go to that it becomes so crazy that people watch it for their entertainment value, but they know they're being hoodwinked.
Oh, yeah. And so it'll get to the point where, like, if I try to have a conversation about politics or really anything, and the other person starts quoting these things I've heard, these smear tactics or these whatever, I just look at them sometimes and I will say, if that is your only bit of information, we're done here. There's nothing I'm going to say that changes your mind. And you clearly aren't into listening to factual
that is
information.
a good point because nobody at this point is looking to receive information, but everybody wants to give it to you. They want to convince you and control you and tell you what to do.
Yes. Oh, I have seen people share things on Facebook about a candidate they don't like. And they'll say, oh, well, what is this? Look at this video of them talking and saying this ridiculous thing. And you look at the video and it's so clearly fake. It's the mouth doesn't match what they're saying. The sound is off. It is so clearly a falsified, fake or AI generated video, and they just go nuts about it. And I'm just like, again, if this is your source of information and this is what you're believing, I think you're too far gone for a debate.
For sure.
You're not going to listen to reason.
So now if we took politics and we just made that a realm of the higher classes, of the more intelligent, the more sophisticated, we kept normal people out of it, right? Mm-hmm. They're going after the votes of the normal people, and this is what slants people and how they control them. It's sheer stupidity. So everybody's got brain cells, knows what's going on, and they don't feel the need to, latch on to what everybody feels about. We've kind of already decided what we're doing. But the regular people, those people who are like, did you see that, Trump kicks puppies or Biden, eats corn on the cob upside down or whatever.
Eats dogs.
Yeah, it's so dumb, right? We're like, how do we keep these people from voting? Like, I don't want more people. I want less people to vote.
Oh my gosh, yes. And I think there may even be, I don't know if it's maybe an age group or a demographic or what. There's definitely a group of people that will only get their news from a certain source. It's just the way it's always been done. You turn on the TV and that's information. Yep. But it's like they don't realize, no, that's not always factual information. Just because they put it on TV doesn't mean it's true.
But it's always been the case. I know it feels like a phenomenon because there's more of it. Mm-hmm. But if you had 3 news stations and you had a guy that was in control of content and we didn't have the internet to be able to look things up, how much bullshit flowed through that thing being controlled? Like, here's how it goes down. So a politician comes along. He knows the guy that runs the TV station. He's like, hey, run some positive stories for me. I'll give you $1 million. And that guy's like, okay. And then he programs it, and it just happens, and you don't know any different as the viewer. So you're just like, oh, that dude's awesome, and that guy freaking sucks.
Yep. And even the internet, you got to be kind of careful. What video was edited, what video was AI generated. I saw a friend of mine was just put in Facebook jail because she posted a video of, it was like a reel she made of videos and pictures from her birthday. And it was just this great day, and she put all these things, and she put a song behind it. And, oh, look how fun my birthday party was. Well, a couple weeks go by, she reshared the video, and she wrote, "Take me back to this day. It was so much fun." She got banned because Facebook said that is an unrealistic thing to ask of your viewers.
Well, I agree with that. That you got to set expectations, right? And we ain't got a time travel machine here, girl.
Unrealistic.
That's a lot of pressure. That's mean.
Oh my God. That's so ridiculous.
Stupid. But again, the quicker we get to the stupid and the absurd and the furthest part of the extreme, the quicker it crumbles, and then we could get all of these really dumpy. Honestly, if you go to the self-checkout and you see somebody that's like really struggling to do self-checkout, you lose your right to vote. Like, we shouldn't put you in charge of doing anything important.
You can't handle this.
Yeah, there should be tests to see if you are just mentally enough to be able to participate in making, important decisions.
Yeah. That's kind of the way I look at it. If somebody says, "Oh, I like so and so," or "I don't like so and so," I don't like them because I don't know, they cite a policy or something that they disagree with. Okay, but when it's like, "Oh, because I heard they do this," I'm like, I don't think you should vote. Like, I don't know who ties your shoelaces every day.
Yeah.
It's like that's what you're going off of.
But colleges have whole departments dedicated to understanding how cultures operate, right? Mm-hmm. They could very easily take like my self-checkout test and figure out how do you filter out the people who are not good decision makers and make sure that if we're giving them something to decide, that we maybe have like a fake election for the people who would, the people who share like, if I post this on Facebook, Facebook cannot use any of my images. Yes. My attorney told me to do that.
Starting next week.
That could be a test that if you're that gullible, right, then let's give you the kid version of the ballot.
We'll do a practice.
Yeah.
A practice
You could
vote.
fill in your little bubble, and we'll put it right in the Play-Doh compartment.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
But too many dumb people is what it comes down to.
So how do you keep your sanity when you were just so inundated with just the fighting and the lies and the misinformation and the seeing people that probably shouldn't even leave their house, let alone go vote. What do you do to just be like, I don't want to lose my faith in humanity. I need to stay sane, and I want to make sure I'm getting the best information so I know what's right, what's a lie, what's ridiculous, what's not.
Well, it's fed all of my my prepping and my conspiracy theories, because I pictured a time when that would happen, and I have to be able to survive. Like, if I'm on an airplane and I know one day people will be too stupid to fly airplanes safely, so I know when we get to that point, then I just won't be part of the airplane. I have to make sure that I survive the stupidity of where we become sometime in the future. So are we going to vote stupidly? Absolutely. We're going to have wrestling matches to see who's going to be president. It's going to get so terrible that I have to make sure that I'm not dependent on those idiots when it gets to that level.
Yeah.
Because you watch Idiocracy yet?
No!
Dude,
I know,
we make so
I
many
still
references
need
to that.
I gotta watch it.
That is almost the manual of what to do next, because that's what it's going to be. And make sure that you're not going to get to that point and say, oh, I wonder how that happened. No more slippery slopes. Everything is, that's what it's going to be. So
that is it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh gosh. So what's a deal breaker for you when it comes to, let's say, a presidential candidate, and you hear a lot of stuff about people. What's a deal breaker? Like when you hear somebody maybe smear one candidate and say they do whatever, and then ultimately that person's response is, but your candidate does this. How can you lecture me on that one? Look what they do. Do you consider any of those things?
No, I mean,
there's no like deal breaker, like, oh, you're clearly nuts or you're clearly evil.
No, because they know that, and they configure it so that you manipulate people based on those things. You've got a sensitivity here, you've got a sensitivity here, and I'm going to leverage that to get you to do what I want you to do, right? Mm-hmm. They're both idiots, they're both morons, and they're going to both jack things up. So it comes down to a very simple qualifier. You're both idiots. I would never pick you out of everybody that's in this country. Yeah. So I'm going to pick the one that I think is going to F with my life least.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it usually comes down to the one that's not going to want to do a whole lot. If somebody said, I'm going to be your president and I'm going to sit and look at the wall for the next 4 years, got my vote. I don't care what your policies are.
Really?
The do-nothing person is my favorite.
Interesting.
So in this case, like the Trump Harris deal, mm-hmm. Let's just say we have a Congress that is Democrat, and I'm going to vote for the Republican, because what's going to happen is they're going to work against one another, and they're not going to be able to get anything done, right?
Yeah.
And then vice versa. If it looks like we're going to have a Republican Congress, I'm going to go the other direction, and I'm going to keep them in a state of idle, because I don't trust any of them to make wise decisions, and they're just going to screw more things up.
Kind of keep them from going to one extreme, I guess. That's interesting.
Because I am not a fan of politicians at all.
Yeah.
And I want them neutered, right?
Neutered.
Metaphorically. I mean, neutered. Yeah. Wait, you know what? Maybe
literally.
Maybe the literal neutering is worthwhile. But they're in their 90s. They don't really need neutering.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Well, not all of them. I mean, I guess we're seeing more and more younger people. I mean, J.D. Vance is pretty young. And I mean, even Kamala Harris compared to some others is younger. Do you like the idea of putting increasingly younger people maybe in these positions?
It's not the thing that I'm most concerned about. I mean, if you said IQ tests and never told a lie and the things that, like, one day I hope we can, like, manufacture an AI that can do that and be president for us. Because if we could take it out of humans and make a computer run things and use a code of logic and a rule set, I'm better with that than the people who take payoffs and work in their own interests and corrupt themselves and everybody around them any day. So age isn't my hang up, right?
Yeah.
It's more like they're all morons and idiots. Let's fix that.
Yeah. So are you for the idea then of breaking it up, not having just the two sides, but
hell yeah.
How would you run that? How would you make it, let's have more than two options, but we can't have 85 options, or can we?
So here's what I would do. It's almost like the justice system, like lady with the big blindfold on. I want all of our elections to be policy only, right, in the blind, You don't know who you're voting for. You don't know which party they belong to. So you basically take 10 people. They can't share the name. They can't share the party that they belong to.
You don't know their sex, their race,
just the
their
ideas.
anything.
And you're going to vote for the ideas. And then later on down the road, right, we reveal who you voted for.
You know, I've done that on websites. There are certain websites that will ask you questions. How do you feel about this? How do you feel about this? What is this? And they don't tell you who's saying what. And you just mark. And at the very end, it says, looks like you align with
so you're not even voting for a person. You're just picking, like, filling out a survey, just like that. And then you hit submit, and then the algorithm, like, lines you up with the person that gives you a certain percentage score of what you lined up with, and that's the person who you voted for.
Yeah.
And
then I'm always in the middle.
And it doesn't matter. Think about it. If we had a sample of 100 people who qualified to run for president. It's not like Republican, Democrat, Independent. You don't have like 3 choices out of, billions.
Yeah.
Right? You've got 1,000 people that it could line up with, and the person that it lines up with most gets to be president.
That would be cool. That'd be interesting.
And I believe in that in all the other candidates on the ballot, too. Them putting the Republican versus Democrat candidates, really, there's some people who will vote for a name they've never heard of because they're a certain way.
Oh, yeah.
Make it blind, right? And then it's all on you to find stuff out.
Yeah, I wish people would do that. Especially, and I think, too, what people would see is how much we actually have in common. I think if you really listen and look at some policies from either side, some things, yes, they're pretty polar opposite, but some things they are not. But because they each want to win so badly, they make it look that way. Oh, well, they want to do this and they want to do this. Not really. You guys kind of are saying you want to do the same thing, but you hate each other and you're going to make it look like it's polar opposite.
If you paid attention to election season for more than just one cycle, you will watch the exact same dance every single time.
Yeah.
So there's nothing new that happens. And that's why you almost got to tune it out. And if it's not something different, it's nothing to pay attention to. You can write a script about what it's going to be and almost be entirely right every election season. Mm-hmm. So if you're going to be part of that tribe and rally to your side, you know what I mean? Like, it would be disingenuous to say that was a unique response that you got from that when you absolutely knew it was going to be part of the recipe. Mm-hmm. Humans are more creative than that. We can do better than this. But we got too many stupid people involved, and now it's just wrestling.
No,
Sorry, wrestling. You don't deserve this, but
yeah. I can't wait till it's over. I hate election years. I hate the stress and the fighting and the constant negativity and the feeling like you can't say anything because somebody else will be like, oh, well, that means you like so-and-so. I'm like, well, I didn't say that.
Oh, and those people want to say that stuff so bad.
Oh, man.
You know those people who just, as soon as you start listening to them, they're just like, wee, wee, wee.
Yes. Oh, well,
so
I saw
bad.
this, so you must be for this. I didn't say that. No, you saw this, and you put your own bias on it. So much bias.
If you're voting for whatever, unfriend me. I can't be friends with you.
So
dumb.
How could you want to do this?
So dumb.
How could you want to do that? Here's another question. Sorry, I got a dry throat today. When it comes to things like certain policies and things you're voting on, do you tend to consider, kind of like you said, something that will specifically and directly impact you in your life? Or do you consider, that's not in any way, shape, or form going to change my typical day, but it would change someone else's? Where do you hold the weight when it comes to that?
Well, government isn't a charity, and they do terrible work with the $100 given, 5 cents goes on the other side that helps somebody. So if you want to help somebody, there's nothing stopping you walking down the street, taking your $100 and giving them directly to the people. Government is not a great function in order to do that turnaround. Okay. So if I said government, no more charity work, doesn't mean that I don't want people to have charitable works given to them, just not for those idiots who are misspending it, not actually helping anybody. It's not that I hate those people. I just think they're being underserved because government's so terrible at anything that they do.
Yeah. Maybe they're being led to believe that it's going to be a certain way, but really it's not.
Yeah, when is the last time that there was legislation passed that promised to do something, and on the other side are like, thank goodness we did that, It's always a cluster F dumpster fire.
Yeah.
And you're like, hey, let's try that again. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Private is good. Public sucks ass. Like, I can't put too many exclamation points on that.
Well, I thought of you the other day. I was at Spirit Halloween. We were talking about getting stuck donating to charities in a store. Excuse me. And they totally got me. It was like, oh, would you like to donate whatever to feed these children? All right, sure. I got a little bracelet. Then said, and you could also round up to the nearest dollar for blah, blah, blah.
And if you just said yes to that one, then I bet you there's another one on the other side of that.
Yeah.
You're just a mark.
I donated to twice in one transaction.
Yeah, they got
I was
you.
like, oh, if Joe were here, he'd be like,
I would say, I
nope.
hate children. I want them to
I
starve.
hate children.
Don't ask me that question again.
Keep your bracelet. I don't want it.
Yeah. But helping people directly, too, I think we've outsourced that charitable giving, so we're not even connected to it anymore. So I could give $10,000 of somebody else's money to help somebody, and that makes me feel good instead of actually going to the places where you can directly feed the kids and have a connection. Your heart and brain just changes when you make somebody else do it against their will. We went long on that one. What was the other one you had?
I feel like we touched on it. Sanity.
Okay. I'm insane.
Keeping your sanity during the election year. Censorship. Hating the children. I think that was all I had.
What about pharmaceuticals?
Oh, yes.
You want to do that?
Yes.
You want to do that one?
As I continue to die over here. Pharmaceuticals. I saw you did a video when I was out sick, funny enough, kind of about taking pills and taking prescriptions and things of that nature. And so this kind of line, I guess, we walk of when it's truly necessary and when it is not. Yeah. Obviously, Ozempic is a hot topic right now, or similar drugs for weight loss and diabetes and things like that. I guess I feel like there are so many instances that things pharmaceutical-wise, medicine is necessary, and then obviously things it is not necessary for, but I know in general you sort of have some pretty strong views on this.
Yeah.
Do you want to elaborate?
So I see medicine as a break glass in case of emergency type of thing. So if you're like, I'm going to take $100 and I'm going to put it on this envelope, and I'm going to put on emergency use only, and I'm going to put it over here. When is it appropriate to pop that open and take the $100? We're in a position at this point that we've created a lot of emergencies ourselves. And so everything is an emergency. Like I need Dairy Queen and I don't have enough money and I really want Dairy Queen. Let me go to my emergency thing. So that would be where we're at right now. If it was like a life or death thing and I pop open that envelope, that's more what the intention was when I created that $100 in the envelope deal. So we rely too much on sort of like casual emergencies for using drugs. So I don't want to work out, eat healthy, and take care of myself. So when I don't do that, oh no, there's an emergency. Well, no shit. You didn't do any of the things that everybody knows how to stay healthy with. So Ozempic is a big loser as far as I'm concerned. Because yes, there are health problems because people got overweight. And while they were going overweight, they knew they were going overweight. And so now we're at the position where like, okay, you need a lung transplant and you smoked your whole life. You don't fucking deserve the transplant because you had ample opportunities to take care of your lungs before right now. And there's some dude who needs that lung that didn't make all of your bad choices up to this point. He deserves that lung.
Do you think it's getting increasingly more difficult to do things like eat healthy?
No.
With things
That's
that
an
are
excuse.
I'm talking about like things that are in our foods and things that are processed and all of that.
No, that's an excuse. You see, the reason that you're being provided refined foods right now is because nobody will take the plunge and go find foods that aren't all ultra refined. Grocery stores just giving you what you're buying. You've seen how many healthy restaurants have gone out of business in the last 2 years, right? Why?
Yeah.
Because they're selling the good stuff and they're competing against the crap, and the crap is winning, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably a little more expensive.
It's not really.
When you're addicted to the bad, quick, and cheap.
It's not really, though. It's not more expensive. People say that all
Okay.
the time. We got an endless train of excuses about why we won't do something. I'm on the side of you just want to do the bad thing, and you're thinking, and you want to just basically give yourself a pass
Yeah.
on making freaking bad choices.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, long and short of it is, if you eat healthy food, you have to eat less of it. So even though it costs more, you have to eat less because your body will then change its design, right, to take more nutrients about what you are eating. So the volume goes down. So yes, if you filled a cart with 100 things that are healthy and you filled a cart with 100 things that are not healthy, the more healthy stuff is less money. So when I started doing keto 10 years ago, all I noticed is when I went to the grocery store, I was paying less because I was buying in portions that were way less than I was.
I was just going to say, kind of depending on what you're eating, if you have a lot of protein in your diet that keeps you fuller longer, you might only be eating so much in a day. Whereas if it's high in carbohydrates and you're going through it faster and more throughout the day, you're like, oh, well, now I have to buy more. I ate more. I got to buy more. Now I'm spending more because, well, you ate 50 things instead of 5.
I can remember back before I was in keto that when I would eat hamburgers, I would always have portions of 2 hamburgers. That's what's going to take to fill me up. And now I could probably get as much nutritional value out of a half of a hamburger. Because remember, if your body's not designed to break food down and give you nutrients out of it, all you're doing is converting that stuff to shit, and that's it. Like, you didn't get any value out of it. So you had to eat a shit ton of it. What do you think happens? Your body just balloons up because it's getting twice the amount of the bad stuff as well. So if I take something, I can eat half a hamburger, and I bet you I get more nutritional value than if I ate 2 when I was eating carbohydrates and high glucose stuff.
So how about the people then that say that they've got some sort of chronic issue with their body? A doctor's like, oh, it's hormonal or it's whatever. It's this factor you have no control over, and this is what you need to deal with it.
Yeah, and it is bullshit, right? And again, if you go back in time, get in your time machine and go back and you let someone evaluate what you're about to do and tell them what the end result, they're going to say something like, if you keep this up, you're going to have some chronic illnesses. So we're talking about like after you've made all the choices in the position that you're currently in, and is it good to now reverse the process, right? Yeah, oh sure. Now you've got pharmaceutical dependency because of all the choices that you made in the 20 years to get to this point. But you had all that information and you made those choices. Nobody else made them for you.
So if everybody started making these healthy choices, eating better, exercising, doing all these natural things they can do to stay healthy, do you think you would see things like hospitals, doctors, things like that sort of going out of business and having issues? And
personally, I don't think enough people will do it. I think they're a slave to their dependencies and they will defend the shit. People got mad at me when I went on the radio. They say, well, what about this group, right? They use the exception, the people who have a pancreas that really doesn't work, or they really have a cancer or something like that where they really do. We're talking about the people who really don't need it and are still addicted. That's who I'm focusing in on. You make different
like
choices.
You've been diagnosed with this issue,
right. But they're using the girl on the crutches, right, to defend their poor choices. And so like I said, hospitals will never go out of business. And just like the news media in our last conversation, hospitals and doctors are there to make money, right? And so they will, if a doctor was given the choice to, let's just say you're going to be a good customer if you get diabetes, and you come in and say, hey, I'm a little concerned about my weight. Now, is it in the interest of the doctor giving you all the stuff, the information, so that you won't need him as a vendor anymore? Or do you think the doctors be like, man, if I can give her advice to get her diabetes, she'll be a great customer for the rest of my life. I'll have, a great set of customers that will buy all the crap that I give them.
Especially, do you think, too, the type of insurance a patient has could greatly impact their care plan?
That is the mathematics that tells the doctors what they need to do to make the most money. So if I can get you addicted to prescriptions, you're my dealer, right?
Yeah. I have seen myself instances where I don't want to say like who or where I was or anything, but instances in a doctor's office where somebody comes in, they have an issue, doctor's trying to figure out how to treat it, And one of the questions off the bat is, what insurance do they have? And if it was really good, it covered a lot, it paid, there was no issues, get this test, get this test, get this test, get this
Absolutely.
test. And if the insurance is bad, give them one of these and we'll try this. Now, I mean, you could argue the point of the doctor's hands are tied. They're not going to be able to pay. You know, of course, they would want to do more testing if possible to help this person. But how confident are you that it's in the best interest of helping versus it's making the money?
It's business. It's 100% is business. They're making a living. The expenses of being a doctor is outrageous. The education is outrageous. So they are put in a position where the solution is that they go along with what the insurance companies will pay for, and they're put in a financial predicament that they have to do that. It's not like they have any kind of choice. And so long that that's the math, that will be forever. If you have individuals who, you know, the best way to not get extorted by the pharmaceutical and medical system is to be healthy enough to not need it and only use it in an emergency scenario where you're not a good customer for that. So let's just say we did universal health care and we just gave everybody the ability to get free medical care whatsoever, right? Across the board. That'd be the worst decision that we could ever make. It's great if you're the person that, you know, getting killed by medical costs because you need the services so often. It's like, hey, free ride. But now it's even worse because now there's absolutely no reason to stay healthy.
Yeah.
So there's no pain in making bad choices. And that's sometimes the only way they will remedy it is make it uncomfortable to make bad choices. And then the uncomfort makes you maybe get you to make a couple of good choices here and there.
Yeah, because I have an issue. I sort of gave it to myself. I'm just going to run to the doctor real quick and take care of that. So be on my way.
I advocate for more discomfort and more punishment from people making poor choices, and stop coddling people who are just trying to defense and explain, you know, the reasons why they can't. I can't go without carbohydrates, or I really love my ice cream, or eating is, you know, a social thing and I can't do without it. Okay, enjoy your diabetes. Don't complain to me when you're absolutely miserable and die early.
And I can say too, I've probably even been guilty of this mindset of, let's say I feel like I have something coming on, whatever it is, I'm getting sick. I definitely have been in that place where I want a quick fix. I don't have time for this. If this is going to take me out for a few days or a week, I've got stuff to do. I've got places I got to be. I don't want to be down for a few days or a week. So let me run to a doctor real quick. Give me something to knock this out right now because I don't want to have to deal with this. Is there a downside to that?
Yeah, you're going to the emergency, right? And you're misusing it. So I look at it as, you know, when you get to the consequence, right, you're best to just get through the consequence and use that pain to be able to not make the same mistakes that went into that consequence.
Kind of like a hangover.
Yeah, it's
you gotta
exactly
go through
right.
the hangover so you don't do this again.
Biologically teaching you that you made bad choices, and in fact, lay back and enjoy the pounding headache and the vomiting all over yourself, because that will stick in your memory when you go to make those same choices again.
Yeah.
If you don't, if you make the consequences easy, what's the likelihood that you're not going to be in that same predicament? If you lick doorknobs and you get sick, I want licking doorknobs to be less attractive, not more attractive. I don't want you to say, hey, I got this magic pill that my doctor gave me. Now I can lick doorknobs all I want. That mindset is just going to keep you in that cycle of always being sort of like, you know, under the thumb of illness and chronic disease and all of that kind of stuff. And don't use the exception to blast me because it doesn't work with me. Most of you are sick because you're doing 90% of the wrong thing and only 10%. All you got to do is reverse it. Still have your social drinks and eat some sugars and whatever, but only do it 10% of the time. Spend 90% of your life trying to preserve. Your body is adaptable and will figure shit out, but it can't be in a constant, you know, beat down from the shit that you're throwing into it. I just don't agree with that.
So maybe we should even go into detail. I know you and I have talked about this before, but maybe for those people that are like, well, what are your ways to stay healthy? What are the right things to do? Like we've talked about, it's back to school time. Kids are going to be getting sick. They spread it like wildfire. As soon as they get around each other, they bring it home. What are some things that you think people should be doing to make sure that they are healthier and visit the doctor less?
Yeah, you want to get exposure to a lot of things to build up your immune system and to make sure that you're like when all of us travel, we go to places and we're around people that we haven't been around in a while, or just brand new people. Your body gets a dosage of something that it's not used to seeing, right? Mm-hmm. If your immune system is super healthy, you can usually combat that stuff when it's one from down the road. But when we go on vacation, what do? We drink, we eat terribly, we don't exercise, we lounge around. So you got the perfect setup that if you want to be in a high inflamed state, you want to have lots of exposure to do stuff, you don't have no nutrition that went through your veins to actually help your immune system, you're a little sleep deprived, you drank too much and whatever, what do you think of the immune system? The immune system will be like, dude, I did all I can, but enjoy your sickness because you basically destroyed yourself.
Yeah.
So kids go back to school, you know it going into it, and you start changing behaviors. Let's just say your kid stays up till midnight every night and wakes up at 10 o'clock going into the summer. What do you start doing before the ramp up of waking up earlier and going to bed earlier? Do you just say, all right, it's Monday morning, wake up, or is that going to be a bad time?
Yeah.
About a week before, what do you do?
Yeah, we start scaling it back and getting used to going to bed a little earlier.
So when you know that's coming, you give a nice, easy transition into it. You know what's going to affect me. You know how I'm going to get sick. You know what I'm going to do some terrible decisions. So it's ease back into it. Mm-hmm. If it means you don't do certain things on your vacation because you don't want to get sick, it's either less enjoyment for the inevitable sickness, or, I'm sorry, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
more enjoyment, or a little less enjoyment, but give myself a shot at not being miserable when I come back from the vacation.
Yeah.
But your body is incredibly able if it's not handcuffed. You're in an inflamed state, you have no nutrients, you're eating terrible food, you're putting yourself at a bad advantage. It's doing all that it can.
And do you think there are, when you talk about eating terrible foods and being in an inflamed state, are there foods you think most people don't even realize are doing these things? Like there's a lot that people maybe think are even better choices than they are.
My doctor once said, when you go to the grocery store, everything that's on the outer ring is where you should be shopping from. Anything that's refined from the inner ring, the box stuff, the processed stuff, whatever, never buy from the inner ring of the grocery store.
Yeah, you have the produce and the meats.
And aside from the bakery, don't do frickin' bakery.
Oh, yes.
So meats and vegetables and milks and eggs and all of that stuff. If you just did that, you'd be in so much better shape. There's still even better stuff that you can do, even on that outer ring. But if you just got the ultra refined process, because basically what they do is they serve us food as if there was starvation rampant, right? Calories, you keep you alive. Don't care how you use them. Calories is what's necessary. Because all that shit does is make it so you have enough calories to burn to stay alive. There's no quality of life in just hitting the low bar, just enough to keep you alive. You give your stuff some real proteins and some better foods. And what scares me about the next level of this is if you read packaging even on meats and stuff like that, grass-fed, grass-finished, organics, all of that stuff that are buzzwords, that meant something at a certain point. Why do you buy organics? Ask why would... I'm gonna put you on the spot. Why would you buy an organic? What does organic mean?
Oh, because there's no pesticides and chemicals and preservatives and all those bad things for you.
Now, would you be disappointed if there were those things, but somebody just did enough to the processing to qualify for what is organic? Would you feel shafted?
Yeah, probably, if it wasn't truly free of those things, but it's free enough for FDA to label it that. Yeah, you'd probably feel a little...
All right, what about grass-fed? Why would you want to do grass-fed?
I don't know. I guess I've always thought grass-fed was just, kind of the same thing. You're not putting antibiotics into what you're eating, and it's supposed to be more natural and healthy for the animal. So that makes it natural and healthy for you.
So grass-fed is the best meat to eat. And most of our food that comes through the grocery store it does either factory farming and large-scale operations. So if you have 1,000 herd of cow, right, and you have them in this big pole building, each segmented out, you want to fatten those suckers up as quick as possible. Yeah. And what you can't do is you can't just let them go out into the field and walk around and use those muscles because the meat would be less soft and less tasty. So if I give you corn, it'll fatten you up, and I sell my steers from by weight. And so if I can give it the food that costs the least, puts poundage on that thing that I'm going to sell the most, who cares about the nutritional value? I don't really care. So it's harder and more expensive to put a cow in pasture and make them eat grass. So it's not even about the chemicals. It's about the overall product. If you have corn meat versus grass-fed meat, it tastes different. It looks different. It's not as palatable. It's not as tasty, right?
Yeah.
But it's better for you because the density of that meat is maybe double what it would be on the corn version of it.
I feel like we're so screwed.
We are.
How do you survive? How do you stay sane trying to find all these things that are truly better for you?
I think we know it. And I think if you get on the pathway of learning what the hell you are doing, you will watch less TV and be less distracted by things that don't matter. When we got this body and the mind that we know nothing about, and we're making all the wrong choices. Invest in knowing something before even if it takes 30 days, your body can survive and not die for like 45 days without food. So don't eat anything, go into the studies, and you can start eating when you absolutely know what you're doing. So read all the books, watch all the YouTube videos, and then when your brain is smart enough to start eating again, cool. And if you never figure it out, you just die, and we take that idiocy out of the gene pool.
Oh, gosh. And I feel like, too, it would take like a major overhaul, like a complete transformation of your life to eat that way. Because
it is 100%.
We are this society of just quick and fast and on the go.
But it's still better than you're on your ranch and you've got to grow everything that you're about to eat. You have to go hunt it or grow it or raise it or whatever. We at least have a little bit better where we can embark in some trade. And think about if we could just converted 1 million new people every day that said, I'm only going to buy stuff from people who sell the grass-fed and the organics, and they did it legit. Yeah. And then these people, when they set up a farm that works the right way, they get 1 million new customers every year. Well, what would happen is the marketplace would put out of business the people who are doing all refined food, right?
Yeah.
And then the other group would live longer, be healthier, and support even more investment in the right way of growing food.
But I think such a drastic life change like that, too, really what you're doing then is preparing your own food. You have to drastically cut out eating out, fast food, drive-thrus, things like that. You've got to buy this grass-fed and these better foods, and then food prep. Take things with you, eat at home. And that, I think, is going to be the biggest obstacle is in this society now that people are always on the go.
Bullshit and they gotta, on this again.
Well, I mean...
And here's whenever somebody, like when I work with people on their finances, they say the same kind of shit. Like, life happens, blah, blah, blah. So I give them the chance of, let me audit you. Right? Mm-hmm. You say you don't have the $50 to do the things. So I'm going to go through the day and see when you really did have the $50 extra and how you squandered it. And if you wouldn't have done that thing, you'd have the $50 and we wouldn't have this conversation. So if I follow you around and watch you not have enough time to food prep without somebody going into a mode that's unnecessary, and I'm like, hey, you're watching TV right now when you could be food prepping. It looks like you do have enough time because now you're on R&R. And then they'll come back with the excuse of, oh, I'm unwinding. Oh, really? Well, the conversation is you're dying from the things you're eating.
Yeah.
It's not time for rest right now. You can rest when you're healthy, and I can guarantee you will need to rest less when you are more, healthy. So let's reinvest. Stop squandering your time and money on making yourself sick and unhealthy and dying sooner. Take some of that squandered time, move it up to the shopping for better stuff and doing meal prep and preparing your own food, and quit freaking defending against bad behavior.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm not buying it.
I don't think people will do that. I think, they're going to come up with excuses. They're going to come up with ways that they need to just run through here. Or, but I got to go from work to this, to this, to this, and I got to eat something, so I'm just going to pull in here and get the best option maybe there, but I'm going to go. And it's like, well, no. When did you know your day looked like that? You could have brought everything with you, like if you knew you had to go to work, pack a lunch. And if you knew you had an event right after work, pack something for after work. It takes sort of that preparation and that whole change of your lifestyle.
And I use the model, and this is so that human nature doesn't kick in and to make bad things acceptable in your own brain. Mm-hmm. And best practices work whether you're talking about people or businesses. So if you want to do something, all you have to do is find somebody who's doing that thing and then tell your brain, well, if he's doing it or she's doing it, it's possible and I can do it too.
Yeah.
But we think we're all unique in our situation. Life is extremely difficult for everybody. There's a lot going on, and you need to be organized, you need to have good sense, and you need to be intelligent about what it is that you're doing. If you do none of those other things, life's too chaotic to get a handle on, and you're just going to be a victim for your whole life. So you might as well submit right now, go into an assisted living facility, let somebody else wipe your butt, and you can just check out for the rest of your days. Or you're going to every day claim that life is just too tough for regular people to make it. You can go back 200 years when life was actually tough, and those people are not going to feel sorry for your little coddled, entitled ass and how you're just destroying all this gift that was given to you.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've got friends, too, that are in this perpetual, I need to lose weight, I need to get healthier, but I like to eat this, and I like to do this. And I tell them, I'm like, if I can do it, anybody can do it. And it even took sort of, I guess, necessity. My family had to make a little bit of a change when it comes to gluten. And it sucks. And I hate it. And I want to eat gluten. But I have seen, if I tell myself I cannot eat whatever this thing is, you will find a way to avoid it. And you will find a way to prepare yourself so that you find other food. Want it. Yeah.
I think it was Dave Ramsey said this. It might not have been him, but it's still a good point. Is that everybody who's broke that files bankruptcy somehow finds a way to come up with $2,000 to file bankruptcy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? If you want it bad enough, if it means that you're dedicated to it, instead of using your imagination to come up with reasons why it can't be done, you put the same energy into actually doing it.
Yeah.
You just got to want it.
That's really it. You've got to want it. You've got to want to find the way to do it. And I think some of it is so mental, is people just are so used to being a certain way for so long that they think, well, that's it. That's how I am.
Well, this is more on you than it is me. Because more people like you, listen to those bullshit people without calling them on it. You need to be meaner. When someone says something stupid like that, don't let them get away with it.
I don't want to be mean.
No, be mean. You can save their lives. You can help them by saying, I just saw you over there for 20 minutes. Don't give me this bullshit like you don't have enough time. You had time enough over there, so get serious about it and quit making excuses. They need tough talk.
Yeah.
But we're also polite. We watch people we care about, really injure themselves for stupid reasons.
Oh, yeah. I've been in conversations where a girlfriend was telling me, things like, I've had no energy. I just want to sleep all the time. My hair is falling out. My skin is bad. I've got all these things. And first questions right off the bat were like, oh, have they done blood work? Have you had your hormones checked? Are you sick? Is it blah, blah, blah? When really it's like, what'd you eat today? What'd you eat yesterday? Oh, you ate like shit all day, and then you stayed up late. Now your sleep cycle is off, and you're dumping bad food on it. But that's not it. It's a medical issue, right?
So here's an not even an analogy, but just a cool. I use this cool story, bro, kind of thing. So it is legal to murder people. Did you know that? It is totally illegal.
If it's an accident?
No. You can legally murder people. Like
euthanasia?
No. Hear me out here.
Okay.
It is legal to murder people as long as you do it slowly. If you sell somebody a thing that kills them so long that it doesn't kill them the next day, you can totally get away with it. We have alcohol, we have drugs, we have tobacco, tons of sugar, all this stuff that takes a really long time to kill you. And so, if you do it slowly, you can get away with murder. And so our time travel thing, what? Time compression? You just have to make sure whatever you do, if I go to stab you and it takes you a while to die, then I didn't really kill you.
It's very slow. Yeah, I just saw too, I don't know if this was true or not, because, I saw it on the internet, but some video was talking about the brand Simply. Simply Orange?
Yeah.
They'd make orange juice and fruit cocktail juice and all this stuff, and they were talking about the level of, oh God, what is it called? There's a chemical in it. I can't think of what it was right now, but the dangerous levels of these chemicals. And they say, like, flat out, if you ingest so much, you will die. This is deadly. And they put just enough in every single bottle that it won't kill you right away. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh my God. And I, no joke, went home that day, opened the fridge.
Sure enough.
Multiple flavors of this product in my fridge. And I'm
now, will you feel like a victim, right? If you did things that if you would ask me, I would tell you anything that's unnatural, that wasn't grown somewhere, that it went through some kind of processing plant that got additives in there is bad for you, and don't do that. Right? Mm-hmm. But then you'll read something like that where exactly what I said. I couldn't name you the additives that were there, but if you do it, you're getting additives that later on you're going to find out were really bad for you. All you have to do is not do that, do anything else and you'll be fine. If the body has a natural process, feed the natural process. If you need a supplement, find out what you're missing in your regular diet. Buy people that are actually growing it in small farms, and exercise that go along with that. Avoid all of the chemicals, all of the drugs. So if you took a vaccine, right, and you took a vaccine to save your life from COVID, and then later on down the road you wrecked your immune system, so now that you die from something in the future, right? All you did was supplant one thing that happened now to something that got you into the future and killed you in a mildly different way.
Yeah. Do you look at things, other products you use closely, like not just food, but like lotions, personal care products, soaps, things of that nature?
For sure.
How closely do you look at those?
Yeah. So even air, like the air you breathe in your home, where you spend the most of your time, and what that's like, and what allergens and contaminants are working through the air. And if you had a list of what's killing you fastest and killing you slowest, you can start with the stuff that you're getting the biggest exposure to. I don't think people realize the air inside their house, especially in winter, how terrible it is for what you breathe and bringing in through your respiratory system. And people that always seem to have some kind of infection of some kind.
Yeah.
Right. So that would be number one: is the air you breathe has got to be solid. The water you drink, the fluorides and the heavy metals and the stuff that makes in a $400 reverse osmosis system with some mineralizers makes it so that you're a little bit more in control. The food you eat, the medicines you take, the exercises, going right down the list of things that you think are hurting you the most is definitely where you should start. But air is a very overlooked portion of that.
Yeah, we talked about one time candles, because
candles are terrible.
I'm guilty of having candles in the home and candles in not very well ventilated rooms. And I always thought it was the type of candle. Is it a soy candle? Is it a whatever? I thought that is what was harmful. And then you buy these like safe candles. Oh, they're soy, they're natural, they're whatever. And you think, oh, well, it's okay now. I bought this other candle and that one's safer. But really, it's not the wax, right? It's the
flame? It's the
burning.
The gases that are given off from burning wax. And even like I do a lot of camping. I know every time I sit around a campfire that I am breathing in things that are not good for me. And I feel that after the campfire.
But campfires are fun.
I know they are. I like them a lot.
There's so many things that are fun that can hurt you and kill you slowly.
Yeah. But if you do all of them, if you don't care about your air, and you don't look at your water, and you don't care what you eat, and you don't do any exercise, you are literally going pathways. Live a long time and are happy, and I want it to be excruciatingly slow death, right?
Oh, yeah.
You are picking that one with all of those departments.
I even had someone say to me recently, they were like, we were talking about this, like, try not to drink too many sugary drinks and watch what you eat. And they're like, well, what about when you see those people in the news that are like 99 years old and they say, oh, I've had a Dr. Pepper every day, or I have a glass of wine every night, or whatever it is. They have this really unhealthy thing that they do supposedly every single day, and they're like super old.
Well, like I just said, if we took 100 things on that, doing the wrong thing, and you subscribe to all of them, it's just the law of averages. One of those things are going to creep up on you. If I have one bad habit where I drink that Dr. Pepper every day, but I get a lot of exercise and I'm in the sun a lot and I fed my immune system and I ate healthy, then that one thing is not the bullet that is going to take you down.
Yeah.
But we are literally, our entire population is doing absolutely the wrong thing in every single department and thinking that they don't have a choice in changing it. Can I change the air I breathe? Yes, you can change the filters in your furnace and put up, air purifiers to be able to take the best allergens. Don't have pets if your allergens are high, so you're, always have clean your house, dust your house. Like,
don't burn candles all the time.
Don't burn candles all the time. Vacuum to get all that stuff out. So those are all things you can do. And everybody's like, yeah, I'm not going to do it. Don't have enough time. Not going to do it. Okay, we'll suffer in the respiratory department. All right, water. I'm just going to take what the city taps give me. Or am I going to be like, hey, I'm going to take that. I'm going to make maybe a little bit better of a version of it. And so, like I said, just take 50% of the list that I suggested and do the right thing in those departments and make slow steps to get better in every one of those departments.
Yeah. And start seeing how much better you feel.
That's right.